Understanding Trauma Top 10 Signs You Shouldn't Ignore. Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into an important topic, the top 10 signs someone might be experiencing trauma. Trauma can be like an earthquake, leaving behind visible cracks and fissures on the surface, but also impacting the very foundation, the very core of who we are. It's crucial to remember that trauma isn't a sign of weakness, it's a human response to deeply distressing or disturbing events. Recognizing the signs is the first step in providing ourselves or others with the compassion, understanding, and support needed to heal and move forward. Irritability, the short fuse. Have you noticed yourself getting easily frustrated, snapping at loved ones, or feeling a surge of anger over seemingly small things? This hair-trigger temper, this increased irritability, can be a sign that past trauma is simmering beneath the surface. Trauma can leave our nervous system on high alert, making us react more intensely and quickly to situations that wouldn't have bothered us before. Think of it like this. Imagine a rubber band already stretched taut. Even the slightest tug can cause it to snap. Similarly, when we're carrying the weight of trauma, our capacity to handle stress and frustration diminishes. We become like that rubber band, easily pushed to the breaking point. This irritability isn't intentional. It's a signal that our mind and body are still processing the emotional aftershocks of a difficult experience. Recognizing this connection is crucial to understanding and managing these intense emotions. Insomnia. When sleep becomes elusive. A restless night tossing and turning can happen to anyone, but when sleep becomes elusive night after night, when worries and fears keep us from finding peace in slumber, it's time to pay attention. Insomnia, the inability to fall asleep or stay asleep, can be a telltale sign of unresolved trauma. Trauma can disrupt our natural sleep-wake cycle, leaving our minds racing with intrusive thoughts, flashbacks, or nightmares. Imagine trying to find peace and quiet in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the rain beats down, and it's impossible to find solace. That's what it can feel like for someone struggling with trauma-related insomnia. Their mind becomes a battleground of memories and anxieties, making it nearly impossible to relax and drift off to sleep. The exhaustion from sleep deprivation can further exacerbate other trauma symptoms, creating a vicious cycle. If you're finding it difficult to quiet your mind and experience restful sleep, know that you're not alone, and there are ways to find peace and reclaim your nights. Being easily startled. Living on high alert. Do you find yourself jumping at the slightest sound, your heart pounding at an unexpected knock on the door? This heightened startle response, this feeling of constantly being on edge, is a common symptom of trauma. When we've experienced a traumatic event, our brain remains on high alert, scanning for potential threats even when we're in a safe environment. Think of it as our internal alarm system stuck in the on position. It's like walking through life with the volume turned up too high, every little noise amplified, every unexpected movement a potential danger. This state of hypervigilance can be incredibly draining, both physically and emotionally. It keeps us tethered to the past, unable to fully relax and engage in the present moment. Learning to manage this heightened startle response is a crucial step in reclaiming a sense of safety and peace. Chapter 4. Difficulty controlling your emotions. Riding the emotional roller coaster. We all experience a range of emotions, from joy to sadness, anger to excitement. But for someone grappling with trauma, these emotions can feel amplified, unpredictable, and overwhelming. They might find themselves swinging from one extreme to the other, laughing one minute and overcome with sadness the next. This difficulty regulating emotions is a hallmark of trauma's impact on the brain. Imagine a delicate scale, carefully balanced. Trauma disrupts this equilibrium, making it challenging to find that steady ground. Everyday situations can trigger intense emotional reactions, leaving individuals feeling like they're on an emotional roller coaster, unable to control the sudden dips and turns. It's important to remember that these emotional outbursts are not a sign of weakness or instability. They are a natural response to overwhelming experiences. With time, support, and the right coping mechanisms, it's possible to regain control and find emotional balance. Chapter 5. Feeling emotionally numb. The wall within. When we think of trauma, we often picture intense emotions, but sometimes it manifests as the opposite, a numbing silence, a disconnect from our own feelings and the world around us. This emotional numbness, this feeling of being detached or withdrawn, can be a coping mechanism, a way to shield ourselves from overwhelming pain and distress. Imagine building a wall around your heart, brick by brick, to keep the pain at bay. While it might provide temporary protection, this emotional detachment can also prevent us from experiencing joy, connection, and the fullness of life. It's like watching a movie with the sound turned off. We might see the images, but we miss the depth and nuances of the experience. Recognizing this numbness as a symptom of trauma is the first step in slowly dismantling that wall, brick by brick, and allowing ourselves to feel again. Chapter 6. Nightmares. When sleep brings no respite. Sleep, a time for rest and rejuvenation, can become a source of terror for those haunted by trauma. Nightmares, vivid and disturbing dreams that often replay the traumatic event or evoke similar feelings of fear and helplessness, are a common symptom of PTSD. They shatter the peace of slumber, leaving individuals waking in a cold sweat, their hearts pounding, the echoes of the nightmare clinging to them long after the dream has ended. Imagine being trapped in a movie, the same terrifying scene replaying night after night. That's what it can feel like for someone plagued by trauma-related nightmares. The line between dreams and reality blurs, making it difficult to find refuge even in sleep. These nightmares are not just dreams, they are a manifestation of unprocessed trauma, a cry for healing and resolution. Chapter 7. Sometimes trauma doesn't stay confined to the past, it seeps into the present, manifesting as reenactments of the traumatic event. This can take various forms, from subtle behavioral patterns to more overt actions that mirror the original trauma. It's like an unconscious attempt to rewrite the script, to regain a sense of control over what felt uncontrollable. Imagine a record player stuck on repeat, the same groove playing the same distressing sound over and over. That's what it can feel like for someone caught in the cycle of trauma reenactment. They might find themselves in similar situations, gravitating towards relationships that echo the dynamics of their past, or engaging in behaviors that unconsciously replay the trauma. This repetition compulsion, while seemingly illogical, serves a purpose: to make sense of the trauma, to find a way to master it, even if it means reliving it. Anxiety, a feeling we all experience from time to time, but for someone who has endured trauma, anxiety can become a constant companion, a heavy cloak they can't seem to shed. It's a pervasive sense of unease, a fear that something terrible is about to happen, even when there's no immediate threat. Trauma can rewire the brain's fear response system, making it hypersensitive to perceived dangers. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with rocks. Even the simplest tasks become arduous, every step weighed down by that invisible burden. That's what it can feel like to live with trauma-related anxiety. Everyday situations can trigger overwhelming fear and worry, making it difficult to relax, focus, and engage fully in life. Learning to manage this anxiety, to lighten that load, is essential for reclaiming a sense of peace and well-being. Imagine watching a movie, completely engrossed in the story, when suddenly, a scene from your own life, a vivid and often disturbing memory, flickers onto the screen, hijacking your attention. This is what a flashback feels like: an unwelcome intrusion from the past, a sudden and intense reliving of the traumatic event. Flashbacks are more than just memories, they are sensory experiences that transport individuals back to the trauma, making them feel as if it's happening all over again. These flashbacks can be triggered by a wide range of things: a sound, a smell, a particular location, or even seemingly innocuous cues that hold a subconscious connection to the trauma. It's like having a faulty time machine, randomly zapping us back to the past, leaving us disoriented, frightened, and struggling to reconcile the past with the present. In the aftermath of trauma, it's natural to question, to search for explanations, to try to make sense of the senseless. But sometimes, this search for understanding can lead to a heavy and misplaced burden: guilt. Survivors of trauma may blame themselves for what happened, even when they were not at fault. They might replay the events in their minds, agonizing over what they could have done differently, what they should have done, even if there was no way to prevent or change the outcome. Imagine carrying a heavy suitcase filled with rocks, each rock representing a thought of self-blame, a what if, or an if only. This guilt can be incredibly isolating and debilitating, preventing individuals from seeking help, forgiving themselves, and moving forward. Remember, trauma is never your fault. You deserve compassion, understanding, and the space to heal without carrying the weight of undeserved blame. Trauma can leave deep wounds, but it doesn't have to define you. Recognizing the signs is the first step towards healing and reclaiming your life. If you or someone you know is struggling with the effects of trauma, please know that you are not alone. There is hope, and healing is possible. Seeking professional help is crucial in navigating the complex path of trauma recovery. Therapists and mental health professionals can provide a safe and supportive space to process your experiences, develop coping mechanisms, and work towards post-traumatic growth. Remember, reaching out for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. By taking that courageous step, you're embarking on a journey of healing and reclaiming your life.